Mastermind Live. Hi, my name is Sandy Gill, and yes, I am the master builder, helping you to build a stronger and better business and life, utilizing the principles of success and how trying to build a skill in the common social business. And today we're talking about the principle of faith. What is faith to do? Well, we share a little bit about what the author says that faith is because it's so very, very deep. But today, the question becomes what faith to do. To do it. One of the things that is really important about faith is that it is it's actually a language. You can think of it like that. I like to call it that faith. So one of the things we're going to talk about today with our co-host and all of you is
The word by faith, what will follow those words for you? You see, because by faith, faith will give you life and power, but you must act. You see? By faith, it is the starting point of all of your achievements. By faith, faith is whatever follows those words. So Napoleon Hill tells us that faith is the only antidote to failure. I like to call faith an insurance policy against failure versus focusing on the success. Faith is the only agency which is connected to the infinite intelligence to help bring you the energy and all of the things that you need for greater success. So, let me introduce our co hosts and let them tell you a little bit about what's faith to them. You see, because today is our master class. Yes, it's a master class today. And so we want to encourage all of you as you listen in to remember to comment, like, and share. But also, if you have not done so, please remember to subscribe. So, good morning, Dr. Rubin, and all of you to join us every single morning. Think Up with Rose. Thank you for joining us. But remember this, that faith is the ability to see a thing before it happens. And as a builder, professionally, I am a licensed general contractor, therefore, I am a builder. We cannot build it before we see it. What are you desiring to build that you have not yet seen? So, this entire podcast and program today is going to be focusing on your faith. How do you demonstrate it? But what is it that you need the faith to do in order for you to achieve that? So, let's start with the person that only needs one name to be introduced. And that is our co host, Bekin, followed by Galen, followed by Dr. Peter James. Good morning, Bekin. How are you this morning?
Good
Good
morning. I
morning.
am so
I am so
grateful.
grateful.
So I'm
So I'm
grateful that
grateful
we
that
get to do
we get
this
to do
because
this
I know that everybody that's watching might hear echoes and
echoes
see
and see
some techie things
techie
going
things
on.
going on.
Just know our
Just know our
producer
producer
is
is
working
working
magic.
magic. Okay. All right. So hopefully you were able to hear me. So Pekin, thank you for that brief intro and your excitement this morning. So Galen, let's bring you on, and if you can share a little bit about who you are and what's faith to you.
Yes.
Yes.
Um,
Um,
got the
got the
echo
echo
here. I
here.
don't
I
know
don't
if
know
it's
if
maybe
maybe
on
on
Dan's
Dan's
side.
side or
Could be.
Yeah,
Could
we're.
I think we're good now. So you
Oh,
know
I think
what?
we're great. Go ahead, Galen.
I think this is just because this conversation is going to be so powerful that there are forces that are trying to keep us from sharing this with our viewers and with our listeners, and we're not going to allow it because faith is, and I like to go back to the whole phrase that faith is the evidence of things hoped for, but yet unseen. And for me, faith is the creative force in your mind that manufactures what you're trying to create physically. Everything that's ever been created has been created first, has been created twice. first has been created in someone's mind before it is ever created physically. And so faith is the foundation of anything that you've ever wanted to manifest. And for me, I've got a story that I share all the time about my first real interaction with Miss Ann, and I was sharing with her how I believe that there's a parking space for me at the front of any parking lot of any store that I'm getting ready to go into. And literally, that's been a thing for me for the past, I don't know, 25 years. And my wife just gets incredibly shocked every time I pull into a parking lot and there's a space right by the front door. And I get really indignant when there isn't one, because I believe that they should just put a sign in front of that space that says Galen Bingham's parking space. It would just make it so much easier for everyone. And it manifests because I truly believe that. And we're going to tap into why that happens for me so consistently. We're going to tap into that in this chapter.
Dr. Peter James, let's welcome you to the podcast this morning. Good morning. How are you?
Um,
How does this faith work for you?
I am doing so well. Excited to hear it. You all got such great faith journeys, faith experience. This is why I'm here with you all, and I'm going to read it for you. When people first come in contact with crime, they abhor it. If they remain in contact with crime for a time, they become accustomed to it and endure it. If they remain in contact with it long enough, they finally embrace it and become influenced by it. This is Napoleon Hill's infamous book, Think and Grow Rich, page 46. As a result of that paragraph right there, I am coming in contact with Think and Grow Rich weekly masterminders, Ann McNeil, Pegeen, Galen Bingham. And at first I didn't know, but now I'm embracing it. And now it's become part of me, and you all are influencing me. And now this is my mindset. I have to ask everybody who's listening, what are you embracing yourself with on a regular basis that is now becoming part of your mindset? And if it's nothing, now's the begin. So I'm excited to be here, McNeil.
All right.
To be here with you, Pegeen and Galen,
as I hear myself a couple of times.
That's me. That's me. That's me. But I'm going to say that. I'm going to say this, and all of you can take it however you want this morning. But that devil is a liar. So welcome to the podcast, Dr. Rubin, Facebook user, Laverne, Colette Coleman, all of our guests, Cindy, Cindy Blue, so many of you that's chiming in, Doretha, and you know, the show would not be the show without all of you every morning. So just consider yourself a part of our mastermind family that's a part of this Mastermind Live. And so you make this program, and we want to ask you each, please put in the chat, if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever it is, YouTube, put in the chat, by faith, what are you desiring this morning? As we start this conversation for ourselves, sharing with you, share back with us and tag someone that you know that should be here. And Begin started something last week, and we're going to ask you to do it again this week. And that is take a picture of yourself watching this podcast and share it and tag some of your friends with the share button. And Begin is at it again. So she's taking that picture, and Galen's going to follow. And I will be along soon. But right now, I need to get this party started. So we're going to start with none other than Galen Bingham as he shares with us, how does this faith chapter, the desire chapter, and the auto suggestion, all of these chapters, how do they connect with each other as a part of our 13 steps, 13 principles?
Yeah. So this is actually one of my favorite parts of this process, is when we think about how all these principles interconnect, because any one of these principles can, and they could, and they do stand on their own, and should be the focus of study. And that's what we do every month. We spend the entire month focusing on the individual elements of this philosophy. But when you think about how they all fit together, that's when the real power becomes apparent to you. So take a listen to this video and think about how all of this fits together to help you realize whatever you truly desire in life.
Number 1 is desire. Napoleon Hill said that everything starts with a burning desire, a compelling reason for doing what it is we do. Step 2 is faith, having belief in our ability to attain that which we desire. Step 3 is what we call autosuggestion. Autosuggestion simply means being very intentional about the things that we are pouring into our thoughts, into our brains, and into our consciousness. Our brains, our minds will receive everything automatically, but we have to work extra hard to make sure that the positive things are what we are feeding ourselves, because those positive thoughts are going to turn into positive actions. Step number 4 is specialized knowledge. No one person knows everything, even about whatever their particular area of expertise might be. And the value of the mastermind principle is using the specialized knowledge of other people. Step number 5 is imagination, the workshop of the mind. Everything starts with our imagination and our thoughts, the burning desire to transform those thoughts into our reality. In order to do that, we have to take a look at step 6, which is organized planning. That is how we crystallize our desire into action, organizing ourselves. Having the thought and not acting on the thought isn't going to get us anywhere. We have the thought, we go through the organized planning to transform that thought into action. Step number 7 is decision. What Napoleon Hill said is the mastery of procrastination. Napoleon Hill said that the antidote to procrastination is simply to make a decision and then move on that decision. Step 8 is persistence. We have to have a sustained effort which is induced by our faith in order to achieve our goals. One of Napoleon Hill's books I love, even the title, 3 Feet from Gold. Those people who became rich during the gold rush in the Wild Wild West days didn't do that because they were necessarily smarter or had better information than anyone else. It's because they stayed just a little bit longer. Sometimes people left when they were just literally 3 feet from gold. So hanging in there, being persistent, is step number 8. Step number 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. None of us can accomplish anything on our own. Everybody, I don't care who you are, from the most prominent person to the person who might be considered the lowest on the totem pole, everybody has someone who helped them get to where they are. And the power of the mastermind is being able to use those influences around us. Use the thoughts, use the knowledge, use the exploration of other people to help us in achieving our goal. Step number 10, the mystery of sex transmutation. This title can be a little confusing, but essentially what the mystery of sex transmutation means is that we oftentimes in our society think of sex as being purely physical. It is absolutely physical, but what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that sex also has an emotional element, and that sex is the strongest of our desires. That if we can take our sexual energy, transform that into positive, creative influences, it can propel us to new heights. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about the mystery of step 10, which is sex transmutation. Step number 11 is the subconscious mind, which Napoleon Hill tells us is the connecting leap between our human mind and the infinite intelligence, the source of all thought, the source of all creativity. Conscious mind, we spent some time talking about how we use that through the influence of autosuggestion and what we're feeding into our mind. Step number 12, which is the brain, the broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Final step number 13, the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. This is the final step through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. The principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles.
All right. All right. Thank you so very much for that. So, in preparation for this podcast today, I started thinking about by faith, just the words by faith. And what does it look like in the story that Napoleon Hill shared in regards to the beginning of U.S. Steel Corporation? And what I'd like for each of you to think about and put in the chat, by faith, what does it look like for you? For example, many of us spend more time or invest more time by faith planning our vacation than we do planning our life. Many of us, by faith, invest more time deciding what we're going to wear on a daily basis than what we're going to think about during the day for achieving that which we desire. And so as I began to reread the story of Charles Schwab, the book tells us that by faith, he came up with this idea to pull together all of the manufacturing little bitty steel companies. But he saw the end before he started. By faith. By faith, Charles Schwab saw a conglomeration of all of the steel manufacturers, regardless of what they were manufacturing. He saw the end first. Now, each of us watching this podcast or listening, by faith, somebody created this platform, somebody created this phone or this laptop or this PC, whatever it is you're watching and listening to us on. By faith, they persisted until they pursued and persisted by faith. Trials and tribulations until they achieved that which they desired by faith. So I'm going to ask each of our co-hosts by faith, what are they desiring? Because see, our desire here, by faith, yes, is to help you, the listener, to understand how do you use the word faith, the actualization of the faith and applying the faith. What does it really look like when it gets hard? What does it really look like when you're challenged, when you don't have the money, you don't have the energy, everything is against you, and all you have is your faith, which we've heard is the substance of things hoped for, but you don't see it yet. Okay, and this is deep, and we want you to go with us in your own story. We want you to share in the chat. What is it that you're desiring by faith? Because if you're not desiring anything, the faith is of no use. Okay? So I'm going to start with Galen, then Peter, then Pekin. So, Galen, by faith, what is it that you're desiring or have desired in the past, and you've had trials and tribulations to actually achieve that desire by faith, but you overcame it, and maybe overcoming, or maybe you didn't?
Yeah, so when I think about my current business, this is by no means my first business, but when I think about my current business of executive coaching and leadership development, I have a vision that I believe that I will support 50,000 leaders all over the world. And that's a very, I've got a number tied to it. And that is a belief that I created about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. And from focusing on that, getting the training, getting the education around the craft, the art of executive coaching and leadership development, taking the courses that I've taken, the classes that I've taken, I now have clients literally all over the world. In Germany, I've got clients in London, I've got clients in the United States, I've got clients in a variety of industries. So just this belief that I have, and it really does tie very nicely to the chapter and actually on page 46 in Think and Grow Rich, there are two things that jump out at me. That's the page that's probably got the most ink from my pen on it. But the two things that I have almost damaged how much I've by how much I've underlined and asterished and put notes around it. The two things on page 46, it's page 49. It says every man is what he is because of the dominating thoughts which he permits to occupy his mind. It's not what you want. It's not the thoughts that you want that you want to have happen. It's the dominating thoughts that you allow to occupy your mind. And the second part on that page is thoughts which have been mixed with any of the feelings of emotions constitute a magnetic force which attracts from the vibrations of the ether other similar related thoughts. Once I stated that as my goal, once I focused on that as my goal, once I built that as my affirmation and started repeating that to myself, then I had clients calling me, literally calling me saying, I hear you do this kind of work. Would you support my organization? And it actually grew beyond business development. It actually grew beyond my making calls and trying to reach out to clients. Clients were calling me because they heard that I did this work for other clients and they want to know how I could impact their organization. So for me, that's my all-in moment. When I started seeing that happen, then I'm going to do more of what seems to work.
All right. Thank you so very much, Peter.
Yeah, great stuff, Galen. It's really making me think this question there, and I love the fact that we all can put into practice what we have faith of. Let me rephrase that a little bit. If you have a will, if you have the desire and the faith to get there, your actions and behaviors should follow suit. And here's what it looks like on the other side, right? And then I'm going to come back to me. Again, on page 47 of the text, Napoleon Hill says, and actually I'm reading it here, he says, there are millions of people who believe themselves doomed to poverty and failure because of some strange force over which they believe they have no control. They are the creators of their own misfortunes because of this negative belief, which is picked up by their subconscious and translated into its physical equivalent, right? And even though that may be extreme and you may not think that poverty is in your destiny, sometimes we don't even believe that ultra success is in our destiny, right? And so as a result of not believing that for you, you are destined to whatever else is in between. Did everybody hear that? We're sitting here in the faith chapter, and what we're diving in, we're asking you to dive in below the layers of your subconscious is, where do you actually believe that you will be? Where do you actually see yourself? And are your actions and behaviors following suit? So what that looks like for me, again, surrounding myself with Pegeen and Galen and Anne, is now visualizing what my future looks like. A $10 million company, a house on the beach in South Florida. Having my extended family being able to come and live with me if they need to. And also being able to support organizations and corporations around the world as well, right? That's going to happen. Does everybody hear that? It's going to happen. What's going to happen in your world? Where do you have the faith, as Galen has said earlier, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen? But you can see them visually in your head, and you know you're getting there. Now, do your actions and behaviors, are they following suit? Love this conversation, Galen and Pegeen. I know you got faith deeply inside of you. So can I hear just a little bit of what that looks like?
I'm loving this whole conversation, and I'm loving that we're doing it today. And I, just so all of you know, just a little bit before this, something was shared with me, a piece of information that set me into tears. I know that faith in life is about, physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, and fiscal. So what are the dreams that you want? How do you want to be there? And within that, it's your business, it's your finances, it's your social, it's your community, it's your organization. And faith for me was, I've been in a professional organization for over 30 years. And I am a passionate person. I am a passionate person about diversity and inclusion. I'm a passionate person and I don't give up. And I I saw opportunities within the organization that I was a member of to diversify the board, to diversify who was speaking on stages, who was showing up. And I had this vision. All right, I had a little bit of anger about it. I was angry, but I was going to make a difference. I was going to change things. I was going to have really, things were going to change no matter what. And I had a vision. I knew what I wanted to see on the board of directors. I knew that I wanted to see representation of the membership and the most impactful membership. I wanted to make sure that that was there. I wasn't on the board. I was a member. I wasn't known. I was a member. And I had the faith that this is going to go happen. Well, over that time, trust me, having faith doesn't mean that it's easy. Having faith doesn't mean that things flow to you with ease and grace. Having faith doesn't mean that poof, it happens. Having faith is being like for me, Joan of Arc holding a flag and letting the world know this is what I believe, this is what's going to happen, this is what is going to go. So it required me um, to do things that were really uncomfortable. It required me to write papers, to hold protest messages, to writing articles for the press and being interviewed by the press. It required me to push myself to get on the right committees. It required me to get on committees of influence. It required me to become chairpersons of different task force so that they can experience um, somebody that wasn't the norm. It was absolutely positively whispering in ears and encouraging and prodding and pushing people to apply to be part of a memberships and become chair people and show their face and step up on leadership and support them. And it required me to put my finances so that people could see that there were financial opportunities if they embraced the diversity of the organization, if they actually saw the diversity of the organization. And this morning, and so that was 30 years. It also required me to quit the organization and protest and rejoin and to help and to get prodded and to talk to influencers. But today, this morning, I got word that that board is now half of the board is representation of true membership and true diversity, and it's changed. It's just changed. And I was touched and I got teary-eyed and I was crying. Faith says doesn't mean that it all flows with ease and grace. Faith means that no matter what, it's going to happen. And for me, sometimes faith means I'm a warrior for my faith. I'm a determinator. Nothing is going to make me stop. And it reminds me about some of the projects that I have and things that I have. I don't give up on me ever, ever. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep on pushing. I'm going to keep on changing. And that's what faith means to me. When I read this line on page 66, riches begin in the form of thought. The amount is limited only by the person in whose mind the thought is put into action. Faith removes limitations. Remember this: when you are ready to bargain with life for whatever it is that you ask for as your price for having passed this way, I get to determine my price. I get to determine what I want to have. I get to determine where I'm going, and I'm going to get it no matter what. I'm going to have faith in it. I'm knock me over, but I am still going to get up. That's how I feel about this. and it excites me. And it's not anger, it's joyous, it's loving, it's creative, it's supportive. It's we're all in this together. Let's get the job done. And that's my thoughts.
Well, 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 well. Well, 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 well said, Begin. Wow, I'm excited to hear more about that later on, of course. But right now, right now, we want to talk with all of you about how do you actually demonstrate that faith through your actions. And I want to tag Doretha Dennis. Thank you so much for that. I mentioned this last week when we were wrapping up talking about by faith, because Doretha put in the chat, by faith I know I have the ability to achieve, and then she gave the object of her desire. And so our desire here, and thank you so much for that, Doretha, because that was a part of what I wrote up this morning, and I started talking about it last week at the end of the show when Bekeem was asking me about how do I demonstrate faith, and I started the beginning of the self-confidence formula. And for those of you that's listening, go to that section of the self-confidence formula in your book and add the word by faith before you begin to read it or before you begin to recite it, because our desire here is to help you understand how do you go from where you are right here, right now, with a desire. Napoleon Hill tells us in the 6 Steps to Riches, he said the first step is you must have a desire for an exact amount of money. That's the first chapter. That's the first principle. Your desire for money and everything we've discussed takes money. Bekeem talked about, her desire and her faith to believe that she was going to help diversify a board. Well, it took money for her to start that process. It took money for her all the years of attending that conference, paying her membership, and all of those things. But where did the money come from? The money came from her desire to make money in a business by faith and pay the dues, not the dues in terms of the dues of membership dues, but the dues of being that which you must become to make the money. By faith, of course. What am I saying? Oftentimes we talk about, and my mom was a holiness minister. I grew up in the church literally 6 days a week and all day on Sunday. That made 7. And so I was so heavenly minded. I was no earthly good because I knew the word, but I did not know how to apply the faith to live the word. Broke and broken, penniless. But I could preach. Not right now. My point to all of us is this. What are you desiring by faith? But how do you actually get it? So let's start with one way you get the faith is by having a desire, maybe something small amount of money. Now, why am I tying money to desire? Because that's what Napoleon Hill did. So how much money do you want? What are you going to do to get the money? By what date? And then where's the plan? But the bigger question I want to challenge all of you to put in the chat. What are you going to do with the money? See, that's your why. Is it to educate a child? Is it to take care of an elderly or, a family member? Is it to purchase a home? How about a car? Do you know exactly what kind of car it is? Maybe it's that Maserati. How about that Lamborghini? For some, whatever it is, it can be a Fiat. It can be a Toyota. Our desire here today is to help you see what you want to either be or have or do. And once we can help you get clearer about the larger picture of your why, then the faith principle kicks in to drive, because if you're going to have a desire, you have to have the faith. And Pekin has her hand up. Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to share something. I think that it's so important sometimes that we don't know that we can desire finances, and we don't even know what that looks like. And so I play a game in my mastermind, because part of what we do is we all work on the international masterminders. We run masterminds. We're in masterminds. In my mastermind, we play a game called the $77,000 a day game. And I ask everybody to have a little composition book, and they write $77,000. Every day you imagine you are receiving $77,000, and you must spend the $77,000.
Wow.
Now, here's what's challenging. And I know you're hearing the echo in the back, but here's the challenge is this. You think you know how you're going to spend that $77,000. And the first 4 or 5 days, you're spending, you're taking care of this, you're paying off that, you're clearing this, you're doing that. But as time goes, you're suddenly aware of the potential of your responsibility of that $77,000. You're suddenly aware of the things you want to focus on, what your values are. Where are you going? What are you dreaming of? How are you building it? Because the way you spend your $77,000, Galen, and Peter, is different than how I'm going to spend it. But we don't even know the depth of our potential until we start playing this imaginary game. And when you start playing the imaginary game, you start getting clear about what you have faith of receiving. When you start playing the game, you suddenly realize, I can do this. I will do this. I am doing this. And when you start doing that $77,000, you suddenly realize how expansive infinite intelligence is, because you yourself have expanded your mind of your potential and what you can do. What we do is we limit ourselves by what we have in our bank account today. We limit ourselves by maybe what the most wealthy person in our family has ever had. We limit ourselves by how we see others in the world who have great sums of money, who maybe live a life that you don't want to live, but you haven't taken the time to decide how would you live when you're receiving $77,000 a day. And I will challenge all of you to do that for a year.
I love that, Pekin. And oh, go ahead. No. Go ahead, Galen.
Yeah,
Please.
I want to add to everything that Pagine just said. One of the other things that I see a lot of people doing to limit themselves this literally everything that Pagine just said, but the biggest limitation I see people placing on themselves is they limit themselves by saying, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to create $77,000. So what's the purpose of doing the rest of that activity? Your job, based upon this philosophy, is not to determine how. Your job is to determine what you want. What's your burning desire? And yeah, create a plan as to how you think you might go about doing it, but then put that aside and focus on the what, because the universe knows a whole lot more ways to get that money to you than you do. Your job is to focus on the what. I know that I want to impact 50,000 leaders in my lifetime. I've got an idea as to how I might do it, but I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. That's not my job. My job is to know it's 50,000 and we're actually up to 5,000. So we're closing in on that number. That's the biggest limitation I see a lot of my clients will have.
Let me jump in, Galen. I love what you said. I love what Pagine said, and I want to take that even back to you who are watching, your sphere of influence and who influences you. Pagine said something that was so powerful. Oftentimes in our families, our upbringings, and depending on your culture and your community, you have not seen evidence of success, right? So, and you couldn't touch it. You saw it on TV. It was very distant. It was some celebrity. It was some person who had some infomercial. but you never saw it. So you saw it in a distance, but you never saw it up close. You couldn't touch it. And so now subconsciously you believe that was only reserved for those people that you saw who were celebrities, entertainers, artists, those. You didn't think that was for you. What we're asking you to do now is to begin to shift that narrative. Shift that narrative for you, and now begin to believe that this is you. This is where you are. This is your sphere of influence. But don't just stop there now. Who are you going to begin to surround yourself who also believes that? Who also believes, or who also is doing that? And if it's nobody around you, again, now's the time to begin to reach outside of your sphere in order to really have them play a role in your lives.
All right. I think I am the echoing. So if everybody can mute for just 1 second, we are talking about by faith. And thank you, Imelda, for write and recite. She put in the chat. Thank you for that. We normally start the program off with a question, and then you fill in the answer. Our question we want you to fill in today is by faith blank. Because our desire as a part of this Masterclass Mastermind is to challenge each and every one of you as you are part of our larger mastermind, if you will, right? We want to hold you accountable to either start a mastermind group or align yourself with this and other mastermind groups of accountability that get your spirit, they're like-minded with you, and they're willing to hold you tightly accountable for your desire. Your desire may be for money, it may be for honey, it may be for whatever it is you desire. But you must have that dream in order to have that dream to come true. And if we don't say anything else, and that's what Begin is saying, can you dream big enough to spend $70,000 or $700,000 or $7 million a day? Before the podcast started, I was sharing with Galen and Begin and Peter that as I began to reread this chapter in preparation for today, and I read that story again by Charles Schwab, I asked myself the question, am I dreaming big enough? And the answer was no. So starting today, you're going to all get a larger Ann McNeil, because the speed of the leader is the speed of the group. And every one of you, you're the head of something. And if you're married in a family, your husband's the head, but you're the neck that turns the head. So yes, Galen, go ahead.
I just highlight for listeners that is coming from a lady who only does billion-dollar deals. Ann McNeil only does billion-dollar deals, and she's saying she's not dreaming big enough. So I just want to highlight that for everyone, because we're excited here in the studio because we know how big not big enough is.
Let me tell you a quick story. And I see Tashana Fenner is on here, and she's part of our New York. I'm going to be speaking next week at New York Build in New York, hundreds of thousands of people. And I decided that by faith, I wanted to have a reception. Did not know how, did not know who, did not know what. I just put it out there, and as Tashana knows, and as soon as I had the idea, because now I am focusing on the $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Yes, and I have a meeting with the White House on Monday to do a recording for them. And this journey is not easy. And as Tashana knows, as soon as I said that's what I wanted, I got a text from a client saying, "Oh, I see you're going to be speaking at the New York Build. We're going to be there." And I quickly responded, via text and said, will you sponsor a reception for us? He said, sure. Our office is 2 blocks away. And right now he's going to be hosting that reception for us in the Marriott. Now, I'm saying that because this program is about by faith. What is it that you are each desiring? Because there are a lot of people depending upon you. They may be your children, your employees, your co-workers, your family. What are you desiring? And I cannot say that enough, because by faith, whatever it is that you're desiring, it's desiring you too. Can somebody put that in the chat? Whatever.
Ann,
yes.
I just need to say you said something so critically important. I just want to stop for a minute, because I think that we sometimes miss this part. And that is, when you have faith, you must speak it out loud. And you must speak it out loud with the emotion of confidence and clarity and passion and knowing. And oftentimes, what we do is we think it. We spend maybe we spend an hour or two in our little meditation altar place, and we think it and we write it and we think it, but do we speak it out loud? And that in the faith chapter is so critically important, that both from the man who talked about the university and the $1 million in the university to Carnegie, they spoke it out loud. And they spoke it out loud with passion. And you just spoke it when you just said, I wanted to have this event and I wanted to have it, somebody reached out to you and you spoke the vision. And that is incredible important. We've got to speak it.
Galen's I'm not sure if he's raising his hand to say something or he's praising. Go ahead, Galen.
A little bit of both. Actually, it's a little bit of both. But one of the things I wanted to that just really hit me dead in the center of my mind is, and you come on now, holiness minister, I'm gonna need your help. But faith comes from what? Faith doesn't come from thinking. Faith comes from hearing. And so how can you create this environment where you're hearing this thing that you say that you want, that you believe that you want? How can you hear this thing? If faith comes from hearing, you've got to be the one to speak it. You have total control over what you hear if you're the one speaking it. So I just wanted to, oh my God, my heart was going to burst if I didn't get that out.
Well, I just want to repeat what Imelda put in the chat when she said, write and recite. You see, because a part of our Clarity Mastermind, for 30 days, we recite out loud. And for a period of time, we were recording ourselves saying the self-confidence formula. And that's one of the hardest things. You can say it, but put that camera on yourself and read it and or recite it out loud. And so powerful, powerful, powerful. I need to go ahead and have anybody. Now, I know that beginning is scheduled, but anybody that want to talk about the annual meeting, because we are hosting a beta test for mastermind groups. And if you're interested in participating with us as we continue to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of masterminding, we desire that you are a group leader of a mastermind group or you are in a mastermind group. If you're desiring to start a mastermind group, you can talk with Begin, Galen, Peter, a lot of other people, or me, of course. But our desire is for this beta test, you can go to www.internationalmasterminders.com/group mastermind. We meet once a month on a Tuesday. We'll give you the details once you register. But we want to encourage, because this is about masterminding, if you will, and holding each other accountable by faith for your desires and your goals and your dreams. And so we are a mastermind group. You're now a part of that mastermind group, but join us in the mastermind beta test as we actually create a larger group, like Galen's talking about, all over the world, of individuals who are masterminding and are looking for best practices. All right. So, Begin, if you want to share with us your International Mastermind Association annual
I
meeting.
actually want Peter to do it because Peter and his child have experienced it.
All right, Peter, it's up to you.
All right, and Begin. Here's the deal about this whole mastermind annual meeting, this annual accountability meeting, right? And we've been talking about it today, and we've been talking about it previously. And all of you who are listening, I got to go back to something that we've been saying. Actually, I think Galen just said it here a little while ago. Faith comes by hearing, right? And I put in the chat, with that, what are you saying? What are the affirmations that you're saying that you can hear yourself saying? Number one. But then this number two is, what are you hearing? What are you listening to from others? And I go back to the whole, who are you surrounding yourself with? And this annual accountability meeting every single year in January in Boca Raton, this is the place to reflect on how your previous year went, but also to begin to put into plans, strategies, and actions your future, whatever the future is, as you desire it. But here's the thing, here's the beauty of this. You now are also surrounding yourself with others who are also doing it. So if you've never been a part of a mastermind, if you've never been a part of an accountability meeting, if you've never been a part of any of this stuff that we're talking about, now is the time to make intentionality a part of your life. Schedule this accountability meeting, annual accountability meeting, which will have the information for you very, very soon. Make sure that it's there available for you. And now also, even earlier than that, as Ann mentioned, dive on into a mastermind today, because your dreams, your visions can and will become a reality. Good stuff.
All right, thank you. And Brittany's putting up the JPEG, and the date is January the 6th and 7th. It's the Friday and Saturday, 2023. So we'll give you those details later, but make sure you go to the International Mastermind Association website, or you can go to Eventbrite, or you can go to Google and register. All right, we're going to wrap up by going around and having our co-hosts share with you their aha moments and how you can reach them. But we also want to say to Cindy, just put something in the chat. She said, by faith, I know I will be able to open my business full time and serve other businesses to train their staff for safety efforts. And then Imelda shared, our words and thoughts are powerful. This is why I recite my self-confidence formula and definite chief aim daily, because I am not only becoming, I am already doing and being. Thank you for that. Peter said, faith does not mean that you will not encounter roadblocks, hurdles, and obstacles. And Dr. Rubin shares, no matter what is going to happen, by faith. This has just been a phenomenal show. Thank you, Galen. What do you have a burning desire to become? Tashana, how to add faith to activate. I mean, we could go on and on. Dr. Carla says, good morning, good people. Thank you for sharing. And Dr. Carla, give us your by faith and tag someone that you know should be here. We want to also ask you, if you have subscribed, put in the chat subscribed. If you have not subscribed, put in the chat, I am subscribing right now, by going to YouTube and searching for Mastermind, Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live. We want to thank all of you every week for being here to support this podcast as we support you. And we are going to start wrapping up with Dr. James, then Galen, and then we go to Begin. What is it by faith that's your aha from this podcast today, and how can people reach you?
Well, mine there, and it's just simply just a couple of words. Saying and hearing. Saying and hearing. I don't even think I'm saying and hearing enough. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make the commitment to do this more. I'm going to put it into play beginning today for sure. My name is Dr. Peter A. James, the high performance coach, helping you to shift your mindset. You can find me on any social media platform at Dr. Peter A. James. That's at DrPeterAJames. Looking forward to hearing what you all are saying and hearing as well. Galen, what's
Yes.
your aha moment?
So two things. One of my aha moments came in through the chat, and we got to put up. Got Brittany, please put up Wyman Winbush's comment, because that for me really does sum up this entire conversation. You have to speak that which is not as though it were, with full expectation and faith that it will manifest. And that's what this is about. So, Wyman Winbush, the good doctor, the knowledge broker, the wisdom broker, I had to highlight what he was talking about. My name is Galen Bingham, the leadership strategist, and I am committed to helping 50,000 leaders bake success into their work and life. There are so many ways you can get a hold of me, but the most fun way is to go to any podcast platform and search for Whiskey, Jazz, and Leadership, where we talk about the whiskeys to drink, the jazz to listen to, and what it really takes to be an effective leader. We're on any podcast platform, plus Audible and Amazon. I double dog dare you to try us at least once. And this has just been an amazing conversation. And that's what I've gotten from this. Pegeen, what about you?
Again, you're on mute.
I was protecting you all from the echo. I'm walking away excited, thrilled, and once again entrenched in the idea that faith spoken creates achievement. Faith spoken and that determination always results in exactly what you want, even better than what you want. If there's one thing I know is I could look back every decade and I see the things that I've manifested are way bigger than I ever would have written about. And I know this. I have to say it out loud. So I work with Power Women Worldwide. I lead Power Women Worldwide. And I know that my programs enable women to be bold, be brave, be seen, be heard, and be paid well to be prosperous. I'm hosting a 3-day special retreat, March 25th, 26th, and 27th in Jacksonville, Florida. It's called the powerwomenleadership.com, and it's for women who are willing and want to lead powerfully and profitably. So you're going to be learning how to present, how to negotiate, how to bring your presence in a powerful way so that those individuals who you must influence, that you must impact, actually hear what you have to say, actually are moved by what you say, and that you walk out clear that you know who you are. I'm having my global. She's one of the top women photographers coming, as well as a top female stylist, and you are going to be practicing on a stage. This is only limited to 10 people. So go to powerwomenleadership.com. Be bold, be brave, be seen, be heard, and be paid well. My name is Pegeen. You can follow me. Just Google Pegine and you will find me.
All right, of course. Thank you so very much. We want to remind everybody, and thank you, S. Adams, for subscribing as a new subscriber. We got that. And please tag 2 or 3 other people to subscribe, because as you know, as a subscriber, you are notified when we come on, and you don't want to miss a show, because we're talking about your desire and how do you achieve that. And of course, my name is Ann McNeil, and I am the Master Wealth Builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business. And if you'd like to have greater clarity in your highest income producing areas of your business and or your life, You can connect with me through our coaching program by going to annmcneil.com/coaching. Again, that is Ann McNeil, ANNMCNEILL, 2Ls.com/coaching. And actually, like Joaquin, we're going to be having our monthly meeting Tuesday, the 1st of March. And if you'd like to participate as my guest, you can reach out to me. I have no problem in sharing my number. It is 786-546-0184. And if you don't have a pen, you can replay this podcast. The number again is 786-546-0184. Text me your email and your contact information, and we'll send you a private invitation to join me as a guest next week. And I always have to say this, but only if you have a desire. This is not for tire kickers. This is not for the faint of heart, because for those of you that know me, we do run hard to help you achieve your desire. And our focus next week, we're starting a new principle, auto suggestion. And in that principle, it will begin to drill deep down into how to maximize your faith to achieve your desire. And until then, we want to thank all of you for joining us. And if you'd like to be a part of this podcast, to be on the program, you can also, when you text me, let me know I'd like to be a guest. And Dr. Rubin, thank you so very much for volunteering. I don't know if you're volunteer or voluntold, but anyway, we're going to look forward to having you on. And any of you that's interested, we're having you on next week. Thank you for that. So Dr. Raquel Rubin will be our guest next week. And please, everybody, she has been so faithful. Every single week she's here. So we're gonna ask each of you, touch base with 4 or 5 people that you know and ask them to join you here. Now, right now, we're going to ask all of you to take your cell phones as we wrap up, take a picture, post that picture, showing us, as you can see, we've been taking pictures of all of you. Yes, thank you, Galen. Yes. And we want you to do the same and tag the people you want to be here with us, and put the subscription YouTube link in your post, because our desire is to have you on this podcast talking about your favorite principle. You may say, you know what, I'm not interested in all of that on the front end. I want to be on the program when you're talking about my favorite principle. Actually, why don't you put in the chat, what's your favorite principle? And Wyman, we're waiting for you to come back and join us. So everybody, thank you so very much. We'll see everybody next week, same time, same channel. And until then, peace. Good day.